Well, I don't want to screw up your deal here.
No, you're not. Believe me, there's nothing you could do to screw up my deal. I work on that good enough on my own.
Yeah, Mike does a good job on his own.
You guys doing a great job here.
We appreciate it. Oops. And there he goes. How come you don't have nice shirts like that, Mike?
I'm not as classy as Doc.
He's got a nice shirt on today. I say nice shirt. He probably wears that shirt all the time. Not that shirt, that style of shirt. He's got a nice shirt.
Right.
I'm excited to hear what he has to say. And this is where you go, Mike. Yes, I did.
Yes, you should be. You should be. Oh, yeah, that was a cue, right?
That was a cue.
Okay, gotcha.
Here we go.
And now for something special. The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright, and so on. It's a rigorous training dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, the award-winning #1 podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stine is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF 1 accreditation. On this week's show, joining us here in the studio, we have Dr. Dick Mansmann, who's going to talk about the self-acute laminitis, also long toe and low heel, and the abnormal foot conformation, and also team building with your farrier, owner, and vet. All this and much more will be discussed here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Do you look at my skin?
You look wonderful.
Well, if you're watching this on the
You're
YouTube,
glowing.
Thank you. If you're watching this on the YouTube video, I just spent 6 days in Florida.
Sounds like fun.
Yes, 6 days in Florida, but not fun. You all right over there, Mike?
You got me choked up.
I know. You wish you could have gone to Florida.
I do.
But I spent 6 days in Florida. I know you were talking to Dr. Dick Mansmann before we started the show about selling property and stuff. We have one house down in Florida that I had to go clean up the the yard and stuff and trim some branches and trim some hedges and stuff. We had some renters in there. And the place looks good. It just needed a little TLC on the outside. You know how that is. So I spent 6 days in the sun, and I will stand by this right now. This is the hill I'm going to die on. Florida is not as hot as North Carolina here. And we broadcast just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, in a little town called Marshville. Marshville, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina is twice as hot as Orlando, Florida. And I'm going to say that right now. At this time of year.
Not supposed to be.
Well, I'm standing out there, and I'm talking to my wife, and I'm out there in the sun. I'm sweating, but you know what it is? It's that sea breeze, that slight sea breeze that comes across. I'm like going, but it's so nice. What you got going on over there, Mike?
It's kind of interesting that a medical supply outfit.
Hold on. You're holding up a magazine in front of your face here.
Yes, I am.
And don't forget, for every podcast we do, we have a YouTube channel. You can search Equine Dynamics over on YouTube. And Mike, you can see all this in real time as we're talking about it here on the air. Mike, you've got a Showstopper magazine?
Showstopper magazine. This is medical supplies containers. And it's just interesting that somebody selling medical supplies would show, well, the outcome of show jumping.
So let me see that right there.
Right.
All right. So this is Storage Solutions from Healthcare Logistics, Inc. Showstopper magazine, show jumping event, and it's got medical supplies, and it shows a horse stopping right in front of a jump, and the rider flying off of the main thing there, and the horse is saying nope. So is that their catch for the?
I guess that's to get your attention.
Yeah, this is
maybe horses give medical people a lot of business.
Well, it's Showstopper, it says, so maybe that's a showstopper itself. You got anything going on the past couple days?
Yeah, I have a lot going on.
Are you surviving this heat?
It was rather warm. I was down in Southern Pines area yesterday, and it was nice and balmy, breezy, about 110 degrees.
In that order?
Oh, that order, yeah. But, today we've got Dr. Dick Mansmann on. Last week we had Simon Curtis on.
Right.
And I'll tell you, back in the earlier 2000s, Doc was doing some rounds farrier rounds. And a friend of mine was going up there, Hank Jonker, and ended up I got a chance to go up there and work with Doc a bit and Kurt and guys up there, and it was such a learning experience. But this is a lot of where the whole podiatry thing got started, as far as I'm concerned. I did get to sit down to dinner with Doc and Rick Redden and Kurt and a few other farriers and vets and what all. And I went up to work with Dr. Redden at NC State. And I know that one thing that impressed me at dinner, they were talking, and Doc Mansmann asked Doc Redden, where did this whole podiatry thing start? And Doc Redden's answer was in 1972 when we were sitting in your barn after I'd been working on your wife's horses.
So you were sitting with the A-team.
I was sitting with the A-team for sure.
Well, one part of the A-team is coming up here in just one sec. We're going to bring on Dr. Dick Mansmann, who is part of that A-team. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. What's your name again?
What's my name?
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, you can join the podcast. The way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com. At the very top of the page says join the podcast. A little tab right there. Click on it. Opens up another screen right there. And you can see all the past episodes of all the different podcasts we've been doing and all the people that Mike has been talking about. We've had them on the show. You can go back through our history, our archives, and listen to those shows as well. And you can also be heard right here on the show. There's a little orange bar at the very top of the page that says leave a message for Mike Stine. Your voice can be right here in the studio. Now, we broadcast every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, a beautiful little town we like to call Marshville. If you want to ask Mike Stine a question, or if you just want to say something in general, your voice can be heard. You can be anonymous, too, if you want. It's going to ask for your name. You can be anonymous if you want. I'm Pony Rider 123. So there you go, Pony Rider 123, and your voice can be heard on the air. So get over there right now to equinedynamics.com and get your message in right now. And over to my far hand side, my very own Pony Rider is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing? And thank you for being here with the stock.
And joining us this week is Dr. Dick Mansmann, part of one of the 1/5 of the A-team that Mike has the opportunity to work with on a regular basis. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Dick Mansmann.
Well, thank you for sure of having me, and I really appreciate what you and Mike are doing here to advance education related to the horse.
Where are you calling us from, or where are you located at?
Currently, you're connecting me in Mebane, North Carolina, just a tad west of Chapel Hill.
Oh, he could have come into the studio,
Yeah.
Mike. We got plenty of room. We got lots of chairs. We have, punch and pie. You could have come right here in the studio and been right alongside of us here. So think about that next time you're in the Charlotte area or getting close to it. If you want to take the trek down, Mike will buy you lunch. I'll make Mike buy lunch.
I'll be glad to buy lunch.
So tell us your background. You're a doctor, and how long have you been a doctor, and how long have you been in the field of equine world? Did you start out as a farrier, and you're like going to farrier? I need a little bit more education, or you started out in school in medicine, and you followed the horses, and you started going, well, I really like the horses, but I like the horses' feed. I don't like this or that type of stuff. Tell us what your actual desire and your goal was when you got into the actual equine world.
Well, first of all, I guess my beginning would be I'm a fourth generation horse person. That came through my mother's side, and my father was a physician in the city of Pittsburgh, and we had a horse farm, and I sat holding horses for farriers when I was 8 years old and had tremendous respect for what farriers have done. That being said, I recognize that that's a pretty hard kind of work. And so I combined my father's human medicine and my mother's teaching interests in horses and went to veterinary school at the University of Pennsylvania. And so you ask about how long? Well, that's a while.
Before Sam was dirt.
Yeah, you got it. 1968, and I went to the UC Davis in California and did a internship there, and then PhD. I was actually studying horse respiratory disease. But I had Charlie Humphreys, who, well, I've been back up a tad. Jack Anderson was the farrier at New Bolton Center when I was there, and then Charlie Humphreys at UC Davis, And I had a lot of opportunity to work with good veterinarians and good farriers. But that being said, I've always had a strong interest in education and working with horse owners, both with their horses, but also in educational ideas. In my practice in Santa Barbara in the 1980s, we had annual seminars that incorporated veterinarians, farriers, and horse owners on an annual basis.
You know, I don't know if it's a generational gap or anything like that, but all the doctors and the DMVs or DVMs, sorry, not getting my license renewed, but all the DVMs that we've seen like this generational gap where they're either, you know, they got everything done in the 60s and 70s, or they're just starting now. You don't see anyone really like in that between the mid 70s to mid 90s now that are.
Well, there are some out there, yes.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand some, but you know, that are so involved. Maybe they haven't gotten a name for themselves. Such as the A-team that you work with on a regular basis. I find it fascinating that there is somewhat of a gap in ages and interest in the horse community. Now, you specialize in, Mike was talking about the whole podiatry thing. Is that where you specialize, your focus as far as your training and your doctorate?
Well, you know, first of all, you know, that DVM thing or a DMV situation.
Yeah, vice versa.
Well, I'm a VMD.
Oh,
so
okay.
That makes it even screwier than a DMV person.
So let me guess. So a VMD is a veterinarian of medicine dentistry. No, that can't be it. That can't be right. You tell me what the D or the VMD. Now you got me all mixed up.
Yeah, I do. A veterinary medical doctor. That's what the University of Pennsylvania, they were in this idea of one medicine early on. So you were a VMD if you were a veterinarian, you were an MD if you were a physician, and if you were a dentist, by the way, you were a DMD.
Okay, so that makes sense, yeah.
That's just that Ivy League BS type of thing. They always like to be a little bit better until
you pay an extra $100,000 for that education there. Yeah. So tell us, you wanted to talk about self-acute laminitis based on your experience out there in the field. Now, you don't do farrier work anymore, do you? Or did you do farrier work up until a certain point, or you've always been in the medical field?
I've basically been in the medical field with a strong interest working with farriers.
Okay.
I've never shod horses on a regular basis at all. Actually, not at all, including my own. Why don't you put that first slide up there, and we'll just start off with some thoughts on laminitis. I think we all, every farrier has dreaded it. And here's a picture of a typical horse with laminitis back in 1969 at UC Davis when I was there. And this picture really hasn't changed that much. You see this horse that's got a crusty neck, it's overweight, it's shifting its weight off of its front feet to its hind feet. It's very stressed looking in its face. Well, we're too late now to help this horse. It's really hard to help this horse. Yes, there's lots of things been going on. Mike Stine's been highly involved with helping these kind of horses that are in the acute stage of laminitis or the chronic stage. But my interest now, though, is trying to figure out how can we prevent this? Well, so why don't you put up that next slide? I think there's ways of looking at horses' feet and the horse and so forth, and how we can kind of get a grip on the idea that something's happened to this horse before it actually has a major bout of laminitis. And for sure, we're learning now that there is evidence, strong evidence, that many horses, I'm going to even use the word majority of horses, are having some kind of slight rotation with their coffin bone in their hoof capsule. And as a horse owner, if you're leaning over your farrier's shoulder and you see either the picture on the left that has these red lines and kind of stretched lines, or if you see the picture on the right that have some of these black lines and a little gap in there, it's time to have a lateral podiatry radiograph of those horses' feet so you get an idea about what's going on inside that horse's foot.
Now, my wife is watching, she watches like the TikTok videos and stuff like that. I don't know if you're familiar with TikTok videos, Dick, or not. It's okay. It's a generation thing again. But she's been listening to the show, the past 4 years and stuff, and she's really taken a liking to all the different doctors that we've had on here. And she's been watching TikTok videos of farriers doing that scrape. I don't know if it's like one of those where it's just relaxing to watch a farrier come in there.
Farrier relaxing, believe me. That's why I do it.
They get real close and to show like the bottom and the coffin bone and all that, and then scraping out all that stuff and cleaning up the foot. It's just so, in her eyes, is so relaxing. And then she's like, oh, look, this one's got laminitis, and this one's got this, and this one's got that. So, so it's relaxing to watch those videos, or it's interesting at the same time and educational watching those videos.
Well, if there's a lot of knifing going on in that horse's soul with laminitis, it ain't going to be relaxing for very long.
Yes, I'm sure.
You're gonna start putting your thumb on there, or maybe even see a little bit of that red stuff.
Right.
Universal stop sign blood.
Right. Well, if you get close enough, you won't have to have X-rays to be able to tell where the coffin bone is, right?
That is true. Let's go to the next slide.
You got it.
Again, I think what we're looking at here now is that radiograph of that horse's foot. And this is kind of a normal radiograph, and something that on the left, there's a whole bunch of numbers that the veterinarian and the farrier can look at in the way of measurements that have some meaning to your horse's foot. And I think having some baseline information related to your horse's foot, or for the farrier and for the veterinarian to work with you and your horse, is a pretty important situation. So you see the horse's foot is a triangle. It's not a box square coming down. So it's going to grow equally pretty much from the heel to the toe. And we'll talk a little bit later about when that gets out of kilter. But for right now, with digital radiographs, that radiograph on the right, you see that little white line there with the arrows. Well, that line is the front of the hoof.
Now, I don't see any paste on here, Doc. What's going on with that?
There's paste there.
I'm a stickler for the paste on the front of the shoes. I always say, why don't they put the face on, or the paste on the front so you can see that?
Okay. So, but I use a wire, which is that line that you're running your
my cursor on. Yeah. Yep, I got it.
Okay. I want you to look at that little dull white line where the arrows are pointing. Oh yeah, now we're talking. So that line on the outside towards the heavy marker, your paste, is the hoof wall. That's not going to change. But on the inside, there, between that line and the front of the bone, the coffin bone right there, that's where all the blood supply is in the soft tissue. And that's where inflammation can occur. And you get inflammation, and you start moving that bone away from that line down towards the bottom. So, and that's one of the earliest signs that a horse has either had or is having inflammation. We're seeing these, we're getting to recognize, and I'm going to use the word majority again. I know that's a little scary when people use the word majority. Majority is 51% or greater. So that means that maybe 49% or maybe 90% don't, or 49% don't have this problem, but maybe 90% do. And so I think that that's where I'm promoting the idea that having a discussion with the farriers and the veterinarian and the owners coming up with a plan to have data for that particular horse.
All right. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Finish.
I'm sorry.
Finish your thought.
Well, we can go to the next slide.
Well, we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the long toe heel and the abnormal foot conformation with Dr. Dick Mansmann. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Mike, you ready?
I'm when you guys are. When you say go, I'm on.
Okay. Dick, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget to follow him over on Facebook. The way you do that is search Equine Dynamics Mike Stine on Facebook. He's got a personal page. He's got a business page. They're all the same. Information gets shared in between the two. I think you maxed out at like 5,000 subscribers over on your personal page. So you started a business page, and some of the subscribers kind of fell over there, but it's still a great thing. And the reason why you're going to go over to Facebook and search Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine is because all these articles, all these pictures, everything that we talk about here on the show, Mike puts it up there on his Facebook page. So if you're not watching this over on YouTube, you can see this stuff in real time. Mike puts up educational stuff and a whole bunch of different things to continue your education if you're in the horse or equine world. So it's a great read, it's a great follow, and it's a good breakup between all those political views and all those social media posts that people are posting out there. So just follow him over on Facebook, search Equine Dynamics Mike Stine. And over to my far right side, my very own social network influencer is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis, and how are you, Doc?
I'm doing great. This has been I'm so appreciative for you guys.
And joining us this week, actually right down the road from us, is Dr. Dick Mansmann, joining us here in the studio. And he is, if I'm saying this right, you are considered a VMD.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So got all those letters all correct now. Now, you were talking about, last break, we were talking a little bit about the self-acute laminitis, and you're going to roll that into the long toe low heel of an abnormal foot conformation. So let's dive into, let me switch screens here. I switch screens, and we can see this in real time. And don't forget, for every podcast we do, you can see this in real time over on YouTube, and you can see the full-length podcast. If you're listening to the audio, you can see the full-length podcast over on YouTube as well. So, Dick, what are we looking at here?
What we're looking at here, we're going to just take one step further on this idea of looking at radiographs, and we're going to continue that because I think every owner needs to understand that there's some really valuable information. So if we look at that, the little red line at the bottom, and compare that little red line to the top, this is a perfectly sound horse, but that little red line at the bottom is thicker or has had inflammation down between that bone and the hoof wall. And it's a young horse. It's in training, doing fine, got sold, and we'll look at the next slide. And then what I'm saying and what we're learning is that if you have a stressor, like a steroid injection or like overdoing grass dieting, this horse was perfectly sound until 4 days ago when it got a steroid injection. But that amount of rotation didn't happen in 4 days. So let's go to the next slide. And I'll just give you the quick final part of how this happens. We have this easy keeper horse. We have this mild inflammation, just a slow amount of insulin being produced in this horse that may be a little bit heavier, maybe having a little bit of endocrine situation. So that bone is just slowly goes to the white line, the pink line. And then the morning that it hits the red line, where there's enough pressure of that bone pushing down on the inside of that the blood vessels there, that horse goes yowzer.
Yowzers is right.
And that's when the acute laminitis takes a hold, and you come out of that subclinical situation where the horse is perfectly sound into this acute situation where Mike and I are brought in and say, okay, save this horse. We needed to be looking at that horse 6 months ago and evaluating what we can do to help prevent this from happening.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I know that I've been in situations where white line may not be stressed that much or stretched much at all, but horse has been a little painful. You start seeing some of this like ceremotype type growth coming down the white line, and unless you got somebody that's really looking at the x-rays, they take an x-ray, they don't do the measurements, and there's there's x-rays and there's x-rays, and they're like, oh no, it's not foundered because the coffin bone's not coming out the bottom, but that horse is already getting in trouble.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's the point of what we're talking about here. And you use the term, I use the term podiatry radiographs. I think it's critical that the veterinarian understands how to take a good podiatry radiograph. It's not looking at the joints. It's looking at the coffin bone, the bottom of the coffin bone, the front of the coffin bone in relationship to the shoe that's on the horse. It's critical.
You want to go to the next slide?
This is one of the take-home messages for everybody to stand their horse up on a flat surface and run your eye along the hind foot coronet band. Here, let's look at that right horse and the hind foot, the coronet band, and let your eye drift up to where that line hits on the horse. Alan Bailey, a UK farrier who has recently passed away, unfortunately, but he spoke at one of Dr. Redden's Bluegrass Symposium several years ago, and this is where I learned about this. And it is really a real valuable thing for every horse owner, farrier, veterinarian to be looking at horses. Look at the horse on the right and look at the horse on the left. The horse on the left, that line gets that horse and hits it in the girth.
Right under his armpit.
And sometimes it's even further back.
Yes.
But look how cramped that horse is standing, like a goat on a rock. Look at that horse's head and its ears compared to the other horse who's happy. And this is where leverage comes in with that longer toe. The longer that toe goes, the lower that heel. That horse we talked about initially is going to grow like a triangle down with an equal heel and toe. And if you're trimming it at 4 to no longer than 6 weeks, then that conformation stays okay. But if it keeps drifting, that heel's going to get crushed and that toe's going to get longer. So that's one of the take-home messages with the longer toe, lower heel. Mike, what do you think about trimming and shoeing cycle?
Well, yeah, most of my clients at this point are running about 5 weeks. I've got some of my performance horses that were running 4 weeks, the upper end eventers. And, I had somebody that was looking for a farrier the other day that, I want my horse done at 12 weeks and I want the feet to look good, which, me both know that's an out impossibility. It's an unrealistic expectations. And, you can't chase it very hard to get it, to get the foot under the horse when you're stretching it that long. It's impossible.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I think 4 to 5 weeks is ideal. And if you're going to 6, you're stretching it, and anything beyond that, it's ridiculous.
Now, are you talking about a working horse, a horse that's like in some kind of, training facility that's either being dressage or hunter jumper or whatever? Are you talking about a working horse, or are you talking about my two little pasture ornaments that are out there?
Travis,
Yes.
every horse is an athlete. And your two little, what did you call them?
Pasture ponies.
Pasture ponies. They are working every day to walk from wherever you, unless they're tied in a stall, which I seriously doubt.
No, we don't do
They're
that.
walking. So they're walking. And we as humans, when we're walking, we are athletes. Every human, every horse is an athlete. And you have to consider that with every single equity.
Well, thank you very. Now I have a clear understanding now.
That's why you look so athletic, Travis.
That's right, because I'll do a 4-mile walk every day. Like after the show, I'll do a 4-mile walk, have some lunch, and then continue my day. So yes, I am an athlete too.
Everybody is.
Yes.
We all have to be considered. That's where equine, human sports medicine, Dr. McCaig, when he was saying it, every single person is an athlete.
Well, the hold on one second. I want to add to that a little bit. With you telling me that every horse is an athlete, the way you said it made me understand. You know what? I know the horse just sits out there and it's just eating grass. I never thought of it as it's actually, taking, it's a 1,300-pound animal. And, if you got 2 or 3 pastures and, a couple acres and stuff, it's working to move from one area to another. You just look at it as sitting out there. But the way you described it, for whatever reason, the light bulb went off in my head. It just clicked. I'm like going, well, yeah, he's right. This animal is physically working to get food, to survive, to stay alive, and it needs the proper hoof care as well. So the way you said it, 50 million people have told me 50 different ways. The way you just said it made me it just clicked in my head. And I'm like, I understand now.
Well, horses that are not moving do not have good circulation in their feet.
Correct. Yeah. So these horses are moving all the time. All right, let's go to the next slide here.
I don't know whether this will show up or not, but can you click on this to show a video?
I'll try.
Click on it. Oh, there you go.
Let's see if it'll show it.
What we're going to do is we're talking about leverage. And this is how sore a horse's back can be when that toe is longer. Let's do that one more time.
Yes.
Look at that. Ow! Oh,
And it doesn't take that much pressure on from Doc's hands to get that reaction.
No, that's
I've had that. I've had that feeling too after a long day of working.
Right.
all right. So 1 week later, after the appropriate trimming was done, this is palpation on this same horse. 1 week later.
Okay, here we go. Watching the video. And don't forget, for every podcast we do, we have a matching video over on YouTube. You can see this in real time as we're talking about it here on the show. So this is 1 week later.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Look at that. Not flinching. Kind of wiggling a little bit, but he's probably going, that probably feels good.
Right. And that looks like that's in Doc's clinic in Chapel Hill.
Not even looking at you, Doc. She's looking at me. She's looking at her friend.
There you go.
Get a little verbiage in there. All right, go to the next slide here.
You got it.
We're gonna keep working on this leverage situation.
Okay.
And to tie our laminitis situation, here's all the numbers that can be generated from a radiograph to look at that parallel bone, face of the bone with the hoof wall. But then if you can look at that right there down at the bottom there, let's see, can I do that? No, I can't do that.
I have all control.
In the area between the tip of the bone and the tip of the hoof, that's where we're going to focus on. And if we let that toe grow out, let's go to the next slide.
Okay. Give me 1 second. This will be the last slide, by the way.
Okay. Here's Brandy. Brandy was shod every 10 weeks, whether she needed it or not. And so
they got the good out of it.
On the left, you get a chance to see the thing about a radiograph is it becomes also a picture of the foot, as we all can see, and a picture of the bone inside the hoof. and look at the stressors that heel of that coffin bone. The heel of the shoe is right over the navicular bone. The leverage out there of the toe is cranking all the tendons, the fetlock, everything back. And this is a good example of what 10 weeks can do. And unfortunately, the poor horse was lame for 5 years with this 10-week cycle, and it had been given phenylbutazone or BUTE daily for 3 years. So it did prove the idea that maybe 3 years of BUTE didn't cause stomach problems in this particular horse. But
Mike, you were going to say something about the end here? Or they got the what out of it?
They got the good out of that shoe job. They got their money's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what Kurt did, the farrier that worked with me, what we did is we moved everything back underneath this horse's foot, and we actually changed the degree of the. Now we're talking about a rotation going the other direction versus the laminitic rotation. We're talking about rotation of the heel going down. We raised that 17 degrees.
Now, if you're not watching this on the YouTube video, I'm going to describe this to everyone who's listening to us. The hoof on the left-hand side, it looks like an airplane coming in on an aircraft carrier. It's got its nose up, the coffin bone, nose is up, and it's like at I don't know what degree angle it is, but it's way up. And then 10 weeks later, the hoof on the right-hand side looks like a fully functioning normal. Everything's down, the nose is down, the coffin bone's down, and the joint alignment above it. It looks pretty darn good.
And the good news was that within a matter of a couple weeks, Brandy was sound and didn't need any BUTE anymore. This is after this 10-week shoeing cycle over 5 years. And the follow-up, we lost follow-up because Brandy got sold and went to a new owner. But that's just one of that's our poster child, obviously, for this long toe, low heel situation, a real dramatic deal. But it's leverage that causes the problem.
When Brandy got sold to a new owner, did all the information, like when you buy a car, you want the Carfax, when the horse went to the new owner, was the new owner aware of this, or that was outside of your realm there?
That's outside of my realm.
Oh, I got you.
Because the owner is the horses are property for the good news or the bad news.
Right.
So the information stays with the owner. And of course, if the buyer says, I'm not going to buy unless I have the information, well, then I highly recommend that to any buyer, is to demand the medical records on the horse so that you have an idea of what's been going on.
Speaking of buyers and owners, when we come back, we're going to talk about the team building between the owner, farrier, and a vet. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
So we're winding down here.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
We're winding down here, and I'd really like to finish with a little bit of a segment on the owner, the farrier, and the veterinarian team building. I think we're doing a much better job on doing this over the decades. It keeps improving all along. That the veterinarians have a better understanding.
Hold on. We haven't started the show yet. Are you doing the show?
Oh.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah. I'm like, okay, here we go. I got to do the intro and everything, so give me a second.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. We're all good.
I'm ready.
I know you're ready.
He's ready off and rolling. We got to catch up with him.
He's excited. He's waiting to tell his friends when he gets off the air. He's like, I was on the Mike Stine show.
Yes.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. If you don't want to go on the air with us, or you're just so excited to be on the show, that's fine as well. You can email Mike Stine, and anytime you go to equinedynamics.com, at the very top of the page says contact us. Fill out that little form. Make sure you put a physical address in there, and we'll send you out some magnets, some stickers and stuff. And did I find the magnets yet, Mike?
Yes, they're right where you put them still.
Well, the only way you can find out is if you email Mike Stine. Your physical address will mail them out.
Just figure out the last place you would look for them. Go ahead and look there first.
They're probably still there. But no, maybe I found them. And the only way you can find out if I found them or not is to email Mike Stine at any time at email or at Mike Stine. Hold on, I got to mess that up. Equinedynamics.com, at the top of the page says contact us. And don't forget, we can perform this podcast at your clinic, your location. If you've got a barn with a bunch of people in it and you want us to enjoy the show and live at your location, we can do that as well. Just fill out that little form, put where it says clinics, fill that out, and we'll pencil you in, and we can bring this podcast right to your very front doorstep. And over to my far end side, my very own front door man is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Travis. How are you? And still got Doc hanging out with us.
Yep, we still have joining us this week.
Questioning our sanity, but he's hanging out with us.
He hasn't left yet. And joining us this week is Dr. Dick Mansmann. We appreciate you joining us here on the show. Now, we started the show off talking about podiatry, your background and everything. Personally, how do you feel about farriers out there that just sling a hammer for that 6-pack of beer, call themselves a podiatrist? I know I'm getting a little off topic here, but I wanted to bring this up because I want to hear from a true professional that does work, quote unquote podiatry on a horse. How do you feel about these hammer slingers saying that, hey, I'm a podiatrist, or I work in podiatry on horses' feet? Yeah, here he goes.
That's a reasonable question. I think the number one thing is there are no veterinary specialists, board certified specialists in equine podiatry. We have a special interest in it. There are board certified internal medicine people, surgeons, reproduction people, etc. That being said, there are no licensed farriers. There are some farrier certifications that are out there. And so a farrier can have, and Mike can speak to this more than I, there's several good opportunities for certification and opportunities to get CE credits for attending meetings, and including this podcast, for farriers. And so that's so if somebody wants to call himself a podiatrist, so be it. That's where the owner needs to be paying attention as to, does your farrier get along with your veterinarian? Does your veterinarian get along with your farrier? Because that's where this team building is critical. And it's up to the owner to, and don't be intimidated by a strong veterinarian or a strong farrier. The owner's paying the bill. And so they have a right to make sure that these two people are working together.
Well, what I was bringing at, the reason why I bring up the how do you feel about podiatrists, I was mainly going, I feel for the owner out there, and we were talking about how everyone needs to talk to each other. When you get a farrier or someone that comes out and says, well, I'm a farrier and I work podiatry, and you just take their word for it. Like you said, don't be scared. Don't be intimidated. Vet these people out. And when I say vet them, make sure, call them up. Mike Stine, we open up the show every week and we say Mike Stine is an accredited APF 1 farrier. I never say he's a licensed farrier because, like you said, there is no licensing for farriers. He's accreditation. And that's one of many accreditations that he has, but that's the one that everyone knows and everyone sticks to. So when you got Mike Stine, who's a farrier, ask your farrier guys out there, who are the top 3 vets that you work with hand in hand?
I think that's important. I truly do. And I think that's where this team building concept comes in. And the owner's the manager of the team. And it's up to the owner to have enough basic information about horse management and foot care to be able to manage that team. But it's up to them to, as you pointed out, vet out the vet and the farrier. And I think another way of looking at this too is having some kind of what I call preventive foot care program for your horse or your horses or the horses that you're training, so that you have a baseline information about each one of these horses. I've seen so many times where if we had what was going on in this horse's foot a year before or 6 months before or 5 years before, it would be extremely helpful. Mike, what do you think about that? I mean,
yeah, I'm all for it, because I mean, you get X-rays, and it's like at that moment you see where the X-ray is, but you can't really track the progression of what's going on unless you got your baseline to start with. And you know, it's kind of crazy with the X-rays, because I know that I had someone a couple of years ago sent me X-rays. They had a horse that was foundering, they were out of state, and they sent me X-rays. And they sent me X-rays that were 2 years old, and they're asking me, doesn't she look like she could be saved? And I'm like, she looks like she could be saved 2 years ago. And but how do the X-rays look? They look like she did 2 years ago. So it's kind of, you know, I don't know what you're dealing with today, because I can't see today.
That's a great example. So if the radiograph showed laminitis 2 years ago, and now the horse, it was doing moderately well during these 2 years, but now suddenly the horse is painful and says to Mike Stine, what am I going to do? Here's the radiographs. Whoa, wait a minute. We need to know what's happening now and be able to compare.
Right.
In the past. And baseline is really an important thing.
Now, speaking of a husband of a wife who owns horses, Mike, a few months back or a few episodes back, you brought in that book that had like all the pictures, and it was a nice laminated book from your gallery of all the different stuff about horses. My wife, because she's getting so involved now in the training circuit and you know, achieving, you know, goals after goals and ribbons and all the other stuff that goes along with it, she is laying in bed at night and going through that horse book. It's got all the pictures and stuff. I forget what book it was.
It's an anatomy book.
Yeah, the anatomy book. And she's sitting there, she's like, you know what? I'm really, really getting more involved in this. And it's up to the horse owner, or the trainer, the rider, whoever, to make sure that they know the ins and outs of the horse's, I don't want to say anatomy, but at least when someone talks about something, you know what they're talking about. And then we have a segment called Talking Terminology, where we kind of break this myth up and define a lot of that stuff.
Right, and it's, you know, from my end of it, I always, I interview clients before I put them in schedule, because, you know, the expectations have to be something that's workable.
So here's a prime example. Look at us right here, the three of us. I'm the horse owner by proxy. We've got the farrier, and we also have a doctor. Or, you know, not a vet, but a doctor. So there's your trio. If you look at us as I'm the owner, Mike's my farrier, and Dick Mansmann would be my doctor, or, you know, to help with any kind of concerns and stuff. This is your team building right here. This is what it looks like. And if you're listening to this podcast and you can see the conversation that the three of us are having, this is how easy it is if you're an owner, or vice versa, if you're a farrier or if you're a doctor. This is how easy the conversation is. The conversation that you hear right here on the show is as easy as it is. And like I say this all the time, I'm a simpleton. Ask the questions. If you don't know, you've got professional people out there that have your horse's interest in their best, you know, in their best mind, as far as getting your horse fixed and stuff like that. We're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to do a short little segment and then wrap up the show. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Snorting on the air. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, if you'd like to join the podcast, the way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com. At the very top of the page says, join the podcast. Your voice can be heard right alongside of us. You can ask us anything. I think it's ask any question. Ask us anything over the last 4 years of shows. This is season 13. You can go all the way back to season 1, which was 4 years ago, and listen to the progression of the show and listen to all the fine guests and all the information that we have, and ask Mike Stine a question at any time. Just give us a little watermark. Hey, what did you mean on season 3, episode 10, and so on and so forth, and we'll answer your message right here on the air. And make sure you go to equinedynamics.com and get yourself some free swag over at the contact section. Put a physical address in there as well. And over to my far hand side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you? And thank you for being with us, Doc.
Thank you guys for having me.
And joining us this week, we're very proud to have on our show is Dr. Dick Mansmann joining us here, and just a wealth full of information. So, Mike, what did we learn today?
What did we learn today?
Talking to Dr. Dick Mansmann, we were talking about the self-acute laminitis. Dick?
Well, let's call that subclinical laminitis, meaning that the horse is perfectly sound and yet the coffin bone is rotating, and getting prepared to be a situation that will be a highly painful bout of laminitis.
Mike?
Yes, there are plenty of them out there, way too many, and the earlier you can get on this, the goal would be not to get ourselves in a situation where we're not working on these acute horses, because we should be able to manage it earlier on and hopefully not become a problem.
And Dick, you were saying that 51% of horses are 90% of the issues, or what was that ratio that you were talking about before?
I just used the term the majority of horses have some kind of evidence of past laminitis that could be addressed. And in summary, it's looking at the horse's toe on the sole surface as the farrier is looking, and looking at the radiograph, the podiatry radiograph that the veterinarian can provide to that healthcare team.
Also, we were talking about the long toe, low heel, and the abnormal foot conformation. Dick?
Yes. My take-home message there is the word leverage. The longer the toe, the more leverage that you're going to create on the foot, the fetlock, everything up above. And we showed that video of how sore that horse's gluteal muscles can be from having just a half inch too long of a toe. So leverage is key with that long toe.
Mike?
And the shoeing cycle that Mike and I were talking about.
And it's your performance issues, your early stages. Yes, it's showing up before the horse comes lame. Starts off performance more, then it ends up becoming a lame horse. You can see it in the muscle structure as the horse is kind of going down that road that it's not a good road.
And Mike has a background as being massage. You know, he's learned with massages and stuff like that, and he'll palpitate the horses as well, just to make sure and things like that. You've done that before.
Right, and Doc knew Ray Morris also, and that's where I learned a lot about the massage.
Yeah, I remember Ray for sure. Wow, a very interesting individual. Wow.
Yeah.
That idea on performance, that horse that, used to be free walking, trotting, cantering, jumping. Now you have to kick it to move it forward. That horse is having some kind of a pain situation that could be highly related to their feet.
Right.
And also, we were talking about team building from the owner to the farrier to the vet to the doctor to anyone that has anything that puts hands on your horses. What kind of team building that's ensured? And like I said, last segment, you're looking at a team right here. Owner, farrier, doctor, all in the same room, all in the same show right now. So expand a little bit more, Dick, as far as, how we can create a better communication between the three.
Well, as we said, it's up to the horse owner, who's the manager. They don't want to be intimidated by any of these farriers or veterinarians. And the key is baseline information. Get that information this coming week with your horse. And we have other opportunities. The Equine Sports Medicine Symposium is coming up the next to last weekend in August in Pittsburgh, and you can Google Equine Sports Medicine Symposium, and you can attend in person or you can attend virtually. So if you're in Charlotte, or if you're in South Carolina, California, Finland,
Florida,
Florida, you can attend. And our goal has always, this is our 7th one, our goal has always been showing the importance of farriery and podiatry with sports medicine. So this topic is going to be on muscle disorders and conditioning, and also metabolic situations.
is this a free show, or is there a fee or a donation that needs to be handled?
I'm sorry, Travis. Nothing in this world is free.
Not when it has a horse attached to it.
Nothing. I'd have to say you're not going to your local food store and you're getting free, are you?
No, we're not.
Okay. Yes, horses are expensive. That's a fact. But we have some these are world-class educators. So Google Equine Sports Medicine Symposium. And
Mike, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say Sammy Pittman, I believe, is speaking there. And Sammy, we've had on the program.
Yep, we've had Sammy on here.
yes, Sammy's he's a world-renowned equine podiatrist, and his topic is going to be how do we find these earlier laminitis cases and how do we deal with them.
All right. Dr. Dick Mansmann, how can our listeners find you if they have any more questions? Do you have a website? Do you have any books or literature or anything like that? Or where else are you going to be appearing? How can our listeners find you?
Yeah, I got stuff, but why don't you just email me at dickmansmann@gmail.com.
Okay, that's
DickMansmann, 2 N's at the end.
And if you're watching this, on the YouTube video, we'll have it listed down below as well. All right, guys. On that note, on behalf of, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Doc is, if you need him as a consult, he's a great resource that you need to take advantage of.
So email Dick Mansmann at any time. All right, guys. On behalf of Mike Stine over there.
Thank you, Doc, and have fun with your ponies. Enjoy the day.
And we'd like to thank Dr. Dick Mansmann for joining us this week on Equine Dynamics.
Thank you, guys, and I appreciate again what you guys are doing.
My name is Travis, saying see you next week. Well, we tripped and flipped and stuff.
All of your work is done. Just close your eyes and dream, little pal. Dream of someone.
Did you have fun, Dick?
Absolutely, it was a good go.
Hi, Lucky. Good night, Ned. Hi, Dusty.
Good night, Ned.
Good night, Ned.
So let me tell you what's going to happen now.